All right, now it's about on.
Yes, sir.
Hello, nurse. Don't cry, little Gundam fan. You got enough
We've got
shot
enough Shar Isekai to keep you fed your entire
entire
life.
life.
Fucking stupid
Well,
shit.
he did it. Welcome to the Gundam Gquuuuuux episode 2 discussion. I'm Nico Bain, this is Ukrainian Zigak, and I just realized I took that screen cap with the lyrics on. It's fine.
Right.
It happens. It will be fixed in time. Today we're talking about Gquuuuuux episode 2. Also, hello, Anne. A reminder, Anne, and all viewers, that you should watch Gquuuuuux by yourself. And especially with this episode, you should probably go watch the original Gundam show. Because, man, what a trip. Any introductory words, Zugak?
I mean, we already introduced it well enough.
Well, what did you think?
Um, I don't know. Still, I saw this like months ago, and I still don't know what to think about it. And I want you to just keep in mind. Imagine going to a movie theater and not the first episode that we saw, but this. Imagine seeing this as the first thing that you see, and not even this, but longer, because they cut stuff for the TV version.
Really?
Imagine seeing this shit for like 30, 40 minutes
You,
straight.
I'm sure they'll release the theatrical version if they did cut stuff.
They will, of course.
I didn't know that though. That's interesting.
Yeah, I only just found out today. Nobody knew
Yeah.
that it had certain parts.
Really? Oh man, don't tell me. I guess because they might put it in other episodes. Yeah, I thought we continue the line, the family line of Hideaki Anno's rebuilds, but now it's Tsurumaki doing it. Obviously,
Immediately starts attributing everything to Anna.
yeah.
Immediately.
Well, it's not obviously in line. Actually, this is a good question. Has I know there's the Universal Century, and I know there's stuff that's not in the Universal Century, and obviously there's stuff like SD Gundam and I think G Gundam, which is not really like in the same. I don't even know. I haven't even seen G Gundam, so I don't know. Maybe it is in the same universe or whatever. But has there ever been a sort of rebuild of Gundam in this sense?
Sort of, but they're I would say they're like more boring than this. I actually watched Gundam Thunderbolt in anticipation of this episode, knowing what happens in it. Because on a basic level, Gundam Thunderbolt is supposed to be like alt Universal Century, where it has a like it's obviously the setting from First Gundam, but there's like so much factually wrong about it that it's not recognized as like something that could have happened. Whereas shit like Stardust Memory is like, yeah, that happened within the story. Tomino didn't write it, but it happened within the story that Tomino wrote, I guess.
Mm.
That's the stance that is officially taken. But yeah, this is functionally the moment in which it's like they're doing something interesting with it, basically.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it to you before, but like this kind of like extreme looseness with the story structure, but like a still high level of attention to detail and like a willingness to have like a lot of the details of the setting, but also like severely fuck with it, is something that was more common not within like animated works, but within uh,
Manga.
yeah,
So
a lot of
going guy and stuff.
technically official manga that were released in a magazine called Cyber Comics, which eventually had editorial staff that would make the magazine Dengeki Daio, from which, of course, Azumanga Daioh was created. It's
Our Bible.
yeah, sure,
Yes, sir.
but yeah, this kind of like cavalier attitude of like I don't know, just have like everything be different, but it's still obviously the setting. It's still
Yeah.
obviously the setting. It's not like trying to pretend that it's not the setting or like delineating itself in some way where it's not supposed to be like an entry point per se, but it also is like more cavalier with it's like obviously it's like completely diverging.
Yeah. The way I thought about it, as I was digesting the
Also,
episode,
hi, uh,
due
Mister
to
Mister Fella.
our favorite guy. I literally done watching
Yes,
the second
sir.
episode. Yeah. What a trip, right? Um, the way I think about it is, and I do attribute it to the line, the family line of Ano. I know it's not really something new, but it is something that I think he kind of started doing a lot. Well, you could argue like a lot of his like previous works were very like iterative on stuff he liked, but obviously like
Yeah,
Re Cutie Honey and the Cutie Honey live action movie kind of set the beginning to what is his like rebuild-ish career, or at least in my eyes. I
well,
might be wrong about
that's
that.
actually kind of interesting to me because what do you mean by rebuildist? Do you just mean insofar as like they're literally
Yeah,
remakes of something
they're literally
in name?
adaptations, but they're adaptations that kind of like take the the structure of like a lot of the Gonagai sort of sequels slash
Yeah,
reimagining ideas, right? Like, cause you have Cutie Honey, and Cutie Honey had reimaginings before Ano took hold of it, right?
I
Both in
I guess I
manga.
just
Okay.
kind of think of this. I guess in my mind, rebuildism is sort of more related to just the idea that like there's some stupid time loop shit. It's like all this like ornate connected universe ishness
No, the way I see it is more is I mean the
context.
Gonagai did kind of have that even in his manga, right?
Yeah.
Like, um,
Well, I feel like that's different from both this and from rebuilds insofar as like that's kind of derived from the Tezuka star system where Tezuka just sort of envisioned his characters in every story that he made as basically as actors that portrayed the story and
sure, it's probably
any recurring character like
but it,
Rock Holmes like reoccurs in a lot of
yeah,
Tezuka works.
that is
Even
probably
Tetsuan Adam will just like show up in Blackjack
yeah, yeah,
where
I'm
he's like
familiar.
playing some kid
Yeah.
and it's not supposed to be taken as like one totally coherent narrative whereas like
Nagai himself
rebuild
does do
is
that
sort of
too.
expected to be like it's like sort of a meta narrative but it's interested in like yes all of this is one story whereas like um I would argue that like maybe this isn't entirely the case with Nagai but certainly with Tezuka um there is no like one story that ties it all together. It's just actors within different plays. Uh, is at least the way that he thought about
I
it,
don't even
and the
think
way that like
I don't even think that Ano is necessarily doing that either with his rebuild sort of era. I mean, you obviously you can tie the rebuilds of Evangelion to some extent, right? But I do think they're
yeah.
sort of meant to just be enjoyed as different versions of a story that fans can come back to and find like differences in. This this is definitely the weirdest one. Uh, and it's
Is
not
it though?
from the
I don't
Anno
know.
rebuilds. I don't know. I mean, it is like from Re Cutie Honey. It's like pretty different. Well, Re Cutie Honey's not that different. It adds some
I feel like
characters.
in the abstract, this is like the stupidest idea they've ever had. Like to me,
Sure.
everything made sense. Like Kamen Rider, yeah, that's sure, whatever. Gojira, sure. Ava, that's kind of lame, but sure. Ultra series, sure. But like Gundam is like so strange to me because Evangelion is already so in
Yeah,
conversation with
that's kind of why.
particularly even the structure of the first episode of Gundam, which is particularly pertinent to this.
Yeah, that's why I kind of mentioned that like the early some earlier Anno works are sort of already iterative of stuff he likes. Like you could argue Nadia is sort of like Conan-ish in some ways, but not. It's kind of like it sort of has like Miyazaki-isms, and I guess you
It's
could tie it to something like Conan.
I
Uh,
consider it to basically be Conan and Yamato.
yeah, it's similar, and
It's
yeah,
just
of
it's
course,
like
it has like the
I
Yamato-isms at the end.
it's interesting because it's like Yamato and Conan are kind of diametrically opposed in terms of like technique and approach of the creators because like Yamato is very sloppy and kind of unintellectual and like non-robustly made, but it it is like I've said this before, but to me Yamato is like the anime that has the most that gets by on personality more than perhaps any other anime ever has. Whereas Conan is just like if you want to be a fucking nudge about what's good, that's what Conan is. But conversely, it's sort of unified by certain themes that are shared between Conan and Yamato that Nadia goes into, which is like particularly about like men and women. What are we doing? What are we gonna do about men and women? Stuff like that.
Frankly,
And
the
sort
rebuild
of
of
like
Nadia,
like the older generation sacrificing themselves for young people is also something that's there. But I'd have to reorganize my thoughts on it to like really be comprehensive. But
you know,
you know, you get
the
what I mean.
point is, uh, the card is revealed. Not it was revealed last time, really, but it's kind of like fully shown. Like, okay, this is like
Yeah,
this universe's rebuild of Gundam. What if Char's like the fucking not assistant, but like his henchman spotted the Gundam when they were attacking the colony at first, and Char just gets to it first. Um,
yeah,
and no, we don't see Amuro at all. It's kind of good, I think,
yeah,
that he's not even mentioned at all. We do see Amuro's dad for like one shot. And he's like, "Oh, what?"
yep.
and that's it. Um, but yeah, you know, not much else going on. It's just kind
Oh,
of the
that
reveal of it.
actually that's actually an interesting thread to follow because like considering the fact that we've got the Temray device
Yeah,
now,
you do get Machu with the
and
Temray
considering that
device
they
later.
don't show Temray dying, and doubly further considering that Temray died because Amuro burst a hole in the colony and got flung out, or didn't die, but like got severe like brain dysfunction
Oh
due to
my god, it
oxygen
all comes
deprivation after
back.
getting.
Remember that when I was
So
watching Gundam,
let's
like,
consider:
uh,
did Char successfully not burst a hole open in the colony, not have Temray get brain poisoning, and did he actually successfully make the working
the
version of that
device,
stupid piece of
the
junk?
ancient truth that we ignored, that Amuro was too much of a fool to take advantage of. Yeah, I remember when I was watching Gundam the first time. Uh, and this is apparently like a meme or something, but I think when I got to that part where Amuro, his dad, brain fucked up dad, is like giving him this stupid device, I'm just like, but what if he? Oh, guys, what do we miss? I think I told you like what, and maybe that we missed something. Maybe he was onto something. That crazy old man, and Namachu is here to save the day. um,
Yes, sir.
what do you think of the Yasuhiko? So I'm guessing obviously they didn't bring back Yasuhiko for this.
No,
Um, I thought it looked really good. I thought it was like really good looking.
I yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't. It's obviously different from Origin or like all the other Yasuhiko, how to put
Like
it,
late
all the
Yasuhiko.
Yasuhiko clones. There's it's weird because they always it's so common that this sentiment of like we're bringing back Yasuhiko. Yasuhiko was the missing piece. We're bringing him back, and it like I don't know. I guess it's just traditional now to bring him back for like F91, but the actual drawing direction is by Murase, and then for Stardust Memory, but the actual drawing direction, character design is by Kawamoto Toshihiro. Like there's effectively at this point a long lineage of people that like at some point in which like particularly at Sunrise they had some point in which they were like, all right, time to do Yasuhiko. Uh, and most of them, it's usually like mixed results in my opinion. But um, it was interesting this
I
time. Are you
mean,
familiar with the
I'm not
like?
familiar. You
I
say
meant to tell you in the first place, but like I kind of want to talk about the drawing director, even if it's not gonna like spin off into a super productive or
sure.
interesting conversation.
Before you do that, I want to say that
Yeah, go ahead.
you say it's not productive. I think it is interesting though that they bring in different people to interpret Yasuhiko's designs because like it has led to like some really interesting and unique artists, right? Like
Yeah,
rare is the Yasuhiko guy, non Yasuhiko guy that they bring in for like a Gundam show. That kind of has to take his like own spin on Yasuhiko's style and designs that I don't think iterated on it in an interesting way. And in some ways, even though I've only
well,
seen one episode
it's
of
that, but like I feel like this is not trying to like truly diverge from Yasuhiko. It's like it's
I was gonna say
it's what gamers would call quality of life changes.
no, I disagree actually. So
Huh.
I was gonna say even though I've only seen one
Well,
episode,
with Shalia Bull, sure, but like,
no,
sorry, go on. I guess.
even though I've
Okay.
only seen one episode with this, this character, uh, I guess like drawing director it would be in this case, or
Yeah.
um, I do think he sort of does some things that Yasuhiko never really does. Specifically,
It's true.
his mouths are actually this exact frame
I
that is
also
on
noticed this.
screen is what I
Yeah, the
you'll
fucking
see it.
sides of the mouths. I specifically drew Char in the thumbnail, incorporating that.
No. There's also like this like upper shot of Char. You'll see it in a second in the stream, but it's just like a really well drawn mouth. Like whoever's drawing these, they have like great
Hmm.
sensibilities for like three dimensionality. You can kind of tell
Yeah,
about it in the mouths. I forget his name. Bull Bull Shar
Shalia Bull.
Shalia Bull. Gundam names. Um, there's a shot with him too, also that you see his mouth and it's like really well composed, like drawing wise,
Hmm.
just like really well drawn. Um, so you could say like, oh, it's not one to one Yasuhiko, but like, goddamn, does it look good? And I think that's about as good as much as I can ask.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think it's yeah, it's not one to one Yasuhiko, but I feel like it's like putting a lot of effort in to try to succeed in like emulating it
sure, well,
because it
they
is
kind of
like
have to, right? But
in a certain sense it's like the ultimate brass ring of like nobody knows how to do this. Nobody really knows how to draw like Yasuhiko very correctly.
even like taking a step back from like the potential like ego artist uh, goal. I mean, he is getting these people are getting paid to essentially draw like Yasuhiko, right? Like that is the goal of the project in
Yeah.
some ways. So it makes sense that they kind of have to like try hard and like try to make it work whatever way they can. Um, I think it was interesting. I do wonder. Obviously, we uh, we don't get the new designs here. We don't get Machu and like the other
I
characters.
think Shalia Bull is like
He looks a little weird. He looks a little,
halfway.
yeah. He looks a little
He
like
looks completely
modernized.
different from the show,
Yeah, he look.
from the original TV version.
There's oh well of course because like in the original TV version he's like this old crinkly man and now he's like a handsome mustachioed suave guy that definitely
He's probably like
definitely
25 in the show.
yeah but definitely was feeling something for sure in that one
Because
scene.
there's like this stupid running gag that all of like the official sources for like what ages Gundam characters are always like ridiculous. Like Cashelia's like 32 or something.
She looks fucking busted. It's crazy. Or like Char in like the first Gundam is like what like 21 or something like that, right? Like he's really young.
Yeah.
Um,
I do think that the drawing director's pedigree, Matsubara Hidenori, I think his background is kind of interesting because he's like obviously he worked at Gainax for a really long time, but he's also like a little bit connected to AIC and I wrote down a bunch of the shit that he worked on.
hmm.
So he worked on like Ah Megami Sama. He was like character designer and general drawing director for like almost every episode of Ah Megami Sama.
Okay,
And
that's interesting.
did like a little bit of Nadia. He did the he was like the key animator of the scene with the shotgun in the Pat Labor movie, the first Pat Labor movie where Noah's like shooting a shotgun directly into the brain of like the Pat Labor that's like on Berserk.
Okay,
If you remember
that's
that,
pretty good. That's pretty good pedigree. Yeah.
he worked on like Bubblegum Crisis as a drawing director. So he's got like
For some reason, I
I
thought
guess
it
I
would be
guess in my
somebody
mind
really young.
it's interesting as far as it's like um it reflects in terms of like what's prioritized here, which is that like it's like balancing a certain level of realism, a certain level of like three-dimensional form with like the sex appeal and the designeriness of it. That it's like there's a sleekness of like beautiful girl characters that you see in AIC OVAs and Sonoda Kenichi OVAs and stuff like that, which I think is like it's in on the face of it, it might not seem totally relevant here because it's not like a bunch of beautiful girls in this episode, but like
The
that
sex appeal,
sensibility
sure.
of
Okay, it's palpable. As
yes,
I was taking
but it,
screenshots, I told
yeah.
myself I can't take a screenshot of every single time Char is on screen. Uh, so I resisted a bit. But
Did you at least get the fucking the what you call it, the cross-legged,
oh
the
yeah, I
one
got that
movie, the
one. I
one
got
movie
that
where
one.
the never mind.
I got
But
that one.
yeah,
Don't worry, it's in there. Um, yeah, it was a very interesting episode. I did not expect what this was. Yeah, what a treat! What a little treaty. Now, what do you think? Well, I feel like I talked a lot about we talked a lot about it being like either an Anoism or not, like whatever it is. I guess, damn it, you've seen the movie though, so you know
do you
stuff
want me
that I
to
don't
just tell
know.
you what the staff for this episode, or I guess I'll just say, um, this episode is like written and storyboarded by Ano. Technically speaking,
Really,
the storyboard also had assistance by Maeda Mahiro, who is uh, the director of Blue Sub number 6, but
there's
his
definitely some
contributions are
Anoisms I
basically as
noticed.
like more detailed draftsmanship on top of like Ano's more basic instructions for the boards. So it's largely speaking like the choices, like the choices of individual shots are largely Ano.
Postboy with a fire comment. That is
Trigger.
interesting though. There are definitely some Anoisms I noticed. We watched some of the.
Particularly, I there was an
Yeah, go
interview
on.
where they talked about uh, the idea that Ano like completely perfectly nailed how Kishilia talks, which was weird to me because I didn't get it, but apparently it has something to do with originally Kishilia talks in a way that's like kind of reminiscent of like Jidaigeki, like old samurai movies,
Hmm.
and I and that kind of like it's not like historically accurate dialogue sense or speaking mannerisms, but it's like specific like recognition of a certain genre and replication of it that Ano was apparently attuned to, which is interesting. I think, even if I can't really pick up on it because I don't know Japanese well enough.
So it really was the rebuilds of Anno, the rebuild of Anno, at least for one episode.
Yeah,
Um, that's interesting. From what I understand, at least you've told me this. Anno doesn't really do that many storyboards, right?
a lot of the time I don't think this is like too outside of his wheelhouse because it is a lot of like pre-existing completed images of storyboards that he's basically saying like use this composition that already exists out there, but like detail it in a different way.
Hmm.
So I like his, and particularly like even when he does storyboards, it's like I mean truth is I really need to like look back into how he does storyboards because apparently it has something to do with like writing down instructions for how the visuals are supposed to be composed rather than just drawing the composition, which is really weird.
Hmm.
But it's interesting.
There was definitely some major rebuild of Evangelion vibes I got from some of the shots, specifically when Char is talking to the scientist that essentially gives him like the papers detailing the information about the
Yeah, it's I think it's Dr. Flanagan, if I
yeah
recall correctly.
detailing like the info on new types and stuff like that. Though, um,
Yeah.
that was just like that whole scene is just like extremely rebuild ish, just in like the way it's shot and the way like it's composed. There's definitely also a lot of like you can tell a lot. There's obviously there's literally recreations of shots from Tomino, Char running to the Gundam. Just it was very Tomino-ish. Just like when you have like a character running, you know this like running like from the what do you even call it through in three dimensions through
From the foreground to
yeah
the,
from foreground to like background or vice
or I
versa, I
guess would be
guess.
middle ground in this
Yeah,
specific shot you're talking about.
it is extremely Tomino-ish. But you also get a lot of like Anoisms, stuff like the. I feel like we were talking about this once when we were watching Eva. Just like the interruption of having like characters talking while like something in the background is like moving or like cutting out into like a shot where like you can't see the characters but like the continuation of their dialogue is still going on, um, which is like fairly common shot, right? But like the flow of it and the rhythm of it is very like in line with how Ano directs the scenes. Um,
Yeah. It is.
I should read
It's
credits.
also
Is what
interesting in terms of like
this means.
what he chooses to like replicate and to redo, because the scene where they're talking over wine, I think, is like a very obvious homage to the scene between
Garma.
Lala and Char at the
Oh, really?
towards
Lala.
like the beginning of the third
I
movie.
thought it was kind of
Yeah, because
Garma-ish,
it's
like the Garma scene in the bathroom. It's not obviously it's not exact, but it is
it
kind of like Shar, sort of like uh, teasing out and or
it's
winning over like a man
yeah,
over like
it's the dimness of the light though, you know.
sure, sure. I didn't quite catch the Lala similarities. Um, it did remind me of the Garma scene, just like the idea of like Char kind of
Yeah.
like winning over like a man in a sort of like intimate scenario. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think about that a lot. You know,
Girls kissing isn't funny.
it's not funny. Um, but yeah, what a treat! What a treat! Grieve four,
We love
fourth.
our treats.
True. It says meets Flanagan once. Humanity revolution. Let's go. True. That's how
Don't worry, 60-year-old Japanese man. We've got enough Gundam treats to keep you fed your
your
entire
entire
life.
life. Sunrise. Ring the feeding house. 4-week-old meme, but you know it's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a trip. It was a trip. Anything else you want to talk about it? I guess I don't know if we could talk that much about the story. I mean, it is interesting that Char disappears at the end, but knowing Char,
Yeah.
he's probably out there somewhere. Um, I did, you've
Just
watched
we should
you
say.
watched the film version, but I
Yeah.
did start thinking like, ooh, like if Char's here, where's Lala, or where's this character, where's that character? Um, I kind of don't think
Possibly
they'll.
makes a good point in saying that it's also similar to the Char and Kishilia scene. It is. It's true.
Yeah, yeah,
It's funny though because I don't know. I mean, you may have already all noticed that there's a certain yaoi subset of people that are really into the Char and Shalia pairing already.
hmm,
Um, I think it's interesting though because like with Garma, with Lala, and even with Kishilia, he takes his mask off, but he doesn't take his mask off at any point in this movie,
oh yeah, I guess he
which
doesn't.
is like it's in my mind it's like the signaling that like he's emotionally open, or at least something like that, and it's just not present here.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't really emotionally open with Garma or Cashilia, right? I mean, with Lala it makes sense, but
Well, in terms of like yaoi pairing, people would consider it to be some kind of like generally it's considered that like there's something there between Garma and Char in a lot of people's opinion.
yeah, of course. I mean, that there's definitely an implication here too. It's very light, but at least it's sort of being framed as like manipulative to some extent to me. That's how I read it. But that's our boy. He loves manipulating people with
Yeah,
his penor. Uh,
for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I do have a bunch of other shit, but I gotta refresh on what the fuck it even was.
Oh,
Um, how valid do you think it is to do like shot for shot remakes like this? Because there is someone that we all know and love that had a quite public 4 video long crash out over despising this movie
who's
or
that?
despising effectively what we've seen of this show at this point.
Are you implying it's like Trixie or something?
Thank you for saying it, but yes.
It's yeah, whatever. She's a public figure. It's fine. I didn't. Did she hate the movie? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, she hated it.
That's interesting. I will not watch that until I've caught up with the movie.
Okay.
Um, but I'm having a good time. I don't know. I thought I was gonna be a lot more offended over like this show overall. But I guess I'm pretty positive with most things anyway.
Yeah.
Jesus, I knew it.
What were you even saying?
Postbo
I
says.
don't know.
Postbo says.
What?
I was thinking that they definitely trimmed it from the movie version. Yeah, seems to be the case. I wonder if. I mean, you've seen the movie. Another, by the way, another screenshot with lyrics. Thank you. Um, I was thinking we do get two commercial ads, two commercial break, like classic Gundam ads in this episode. Uh, I don't. Did you even watch the episode, or are you just remembering what you watched in the?
No, I watched the episode.
Okay,
There were differences, dude. There were like many minutes cut from the film version.
I see. In the film version, did they have the little "sha" commercial break thing?
Yeah.
Oh, did they have both of them?
Or wait, let me think. No, they didn't have any of that shit in the movie version.
Really? It's weird because
Yeah, they didn't have like the openings or endings or anything either. I mean,
hmm,
they had like the opening and ending songs as insert
yeah,
songs and also as like an ending credits song, but the ending credits wasn't like the ending video or anything like that.
I see. I it was interesting because they had it, but then they had like a second one, and it was weird because the first one was like perfectly timed for like a commercial break. Like you were just watching like a Gundam show, which you are.
Yeah.
And the second one was like weirdly in between the half
I
and the ending, and it felt a little odd.
I mean,
Um,
this you're very positive on this overall, but I do want to say that like this is like so much less structurally perfect than obviously First Gundam, but also even like Evangelion or like Furikuri. This is just like so completely not tight and like so
sure,
sloppy and weird.
but that is the
Um,
the nature of these franchise sort of works, right?
in a certain
Especially
respect, yeah.
something as
I was actually talking about this with Postboy a little bit. Sorry to fucking interrupt, but I just wanna. So
to
deal with me.
talk.
But anyway,
A
um,
boy's hungry.
Postboy and I basically my hypothesis is that like to be clear, Tsurumaki and Enokido, the main writer for the show, they've had this idea
They were
since
children.
literally Fooly Cooly. They were like, wouldn't it be cool to have a show where Char wins the entire war? They had this idea in 2000. I was 0 years old when they had this idea. You were like 5 years old when they had this idea, or some
True.
shit. Um, and to that end, I feel like they had the idea for like, what if Char wins? Wouldn't that be a cool show? And then they never figured out how to make that
They were
like
like, nah, that'd be fucking dumb.
they never figured out how to make that like a thing that could be watchable to people who hadn't already seen Gundam, or how to make that like structurally good. And so they just gave up
And
and
then
said, you
and
know
then a
what?
little
It would be
show,
good to make a show that like literally forces you to watch First Gundam
and
by
then
how fucking obtuse it is.
a little show called The Witch of Mercury came out, and the Gundam franchise became synonymous with Yuri, and they were like, "This is it. It's our chance. Get in.
Dude, it's it's even crazier than that because they got like the okay to do this from like this has been in like active pre-production development since like
It's been a
5 years
while.
ago, since before what like way before Suisei no Majo. And
Great
which is
minds think
baffling because it's
alike.
like why did they make like the same fucking show twice in a row? It's so
They
weird.
simply saw the writing in the walls, the ocean, the motion of the ocean, and they knew what they had to do.
I guess so. It's
Well,
fucked up. It's fucking weird.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I wanted to mention though, like obviously it kind of necessitates being not as clean, which is a shame. You know, like
Yeah.
in some ways, I do kind of wish like it the rest of it isn't as like reference heavy, right? Like you kind of have this idea of like,
Yeah.
okay, Char's bull, is here or whatever he's called. I'm joking. Um, like it takes place in this like scenario. It's like this like alternate universe or whatever. I do hope it just becomes like a show where like the original characters get to shine because I do, you know, even though this was a really fun episode, this was a really interesting depiction of it, like the Yasuhiko like style, like interesting rendition of these like scenes and techniques and stuff.
Mm.
I just want to watch like
That's
a new. I
actually
just want to watch a new Gundam show. I like my chew
something
enough.
that's like it's it's a little weird to me to see Char strike so many poses that Amuro struck. It feels to me that like
Yeah,
in
it's for
some
friends.
respects the body language of the two characters is like kind of being mulched into one thing, which I don't know how much of that is like present within the original show or how much of that is like a choice to just kind of homogenize it. Um,
It
I
seems
don't
to
know if
me
that like
like it's
completely
just a
fits your
reference.
reasoning, but
You do got the I don't know if you caught it. There's like a very famous shot of the first Gundam where like the Gundam is pointing like the gun at the screen. Um, but then this version of it is like backwards because he's in space. It's like
yeah,
inverted. I thought
I
that was
got
cute.
the screenshots of those.
Yeah, I got that one
Or
too. It's
no,
somewhere
wait,
in there.
this is the wrong one. Fuck me.
It's been rotating somewhere in there.
Whoops.
Um, yeah, I do agree that like it seems a little weird, but again, franchised sort of series, like it kind of can't be as perfect as it should. Ideally, we would have like a Char that kind of gets to strike his own poses in these like scenes. But again, you this episode is like a weird, like not even like real episode in some ways, right? Like it's just kind of like
Yeah.
filling you in on like the concept of it all. So like having these references and stuff, it's sort of more understandable. It's sort of just there for the fans. Um,
Do you think that like Char is kind of mischaracterized in this or talks weird?
well, it's not Ikeda Shuichi.
Not I sure, but also like just in terms of like how the dialogue is written, there's like a certain stiffness that I found to it. That's
Hmm.
like
I didn't.
it's almost like isekai ish.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
sort of
not
sounds like
okay a bit.
he sort of sounds pretty boyish in a way that I don't think Char ever really did.
It's that, but it's also like like a certain degree of like over self awareness of the situation of like fourth wall breakingness, where it's he
Hmm.
uh he says something to the effect of like first mobile suit combat ever
Yeah,
recorded in history, a bit of an
yeah,
anticlimax.
but anticlimactic.
It's like within Tomino anime,
Is that even
characters do
correct?
not generally like meditate on history as it's happening or anything like that.
Well, I could see.
And particularly
It's
like
definitely not
first
Tomino
mobile
dialogue.
suit combat ever recorded in history is like
Is that even
so
true?
a Gundam fan thing to say, in my opinion.
Yeah, it did feel like Lori E. Like oh, fun. Char turns on the Discord to call the fun fact, guys. Was the first recorded Gundam fight in history. Um, that feels a little weird. Yeah, it did feel a little. Again, it's franchise to use the word. It's sort of like Lori, like throwing a bone out
Yeah.
there for the fans again. There's a lot of that in this episode. I guess, ultimately I am the part of the fans that they're trying to throw the bones at because I like the first show and I watched it. Um,
Pelting bones at you.
yeah. The boy was hungry and the boy was me, and I was fed, the carrot starch or whatever. Um,
Yep. Carrot puree.
Carrot period. Thank you. Thank you, Mansley. Um, yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that moment of
Yeah.
inspiration changed everything.
You did say that. It's true. It's not. It's no Tomino dialogue. Yeah.
Origin isn't canon. We're closing that right now.
Closing that book. I've not seen
Sorry to
Origin.
be curt about it.
I've not seen or read Origin, and you know what? I'll probably like it when I do, um, because I like everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you do.
Will Shar is Shar alive? Did he run off with Lala into a colony in the Bahamas? Is he just sipping fucking pina coladas with Lala, like living his happiest life, telling her how much he reminds him of his mother? Um, find out next time. Uh, yeah. I guess if you have anything else to say, I
And
basically
I
don't really have that
do.
much. Yeah, it was a good episode.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck else? Let me look at my notes. I think I already said this. What? Comprehension, Radel and I all had a conversation about this, the movie version around when it came out, and he, I wouldn't say despised it, but was like found this to be like possibly the most distasteful
Comprehend?
thing that anyone, yeah, that anyone could ever do to do this.
Really?
And I think I, like, in some respects I sympathize, and I, what do you think about, like, you're, I guess you're just chill with like,
The truth
let's
is,
just remake shit.
yeah, the truth is, again, it's not new. I'm not a huge Godzilla fan or Kamen Rider fan or Ultraman fan. But I watched the remakes, with like Anno's remakes with not that much knowledge of like their perspective series, and I thought it was fine. I
Yeah,
I feel like it'd be hypocritical of me to watch something that I do like and sort of not allow myself the same level of like relaxation over the idea of something being remade and not being like pure to its original form when it's something that I am familiar with and I care about. The truth is that the original Gundam is there and it's will forever be great. This is just
I think I
fun. It's fun for
basically
the
agree with
fans.
you.
It's fun
I
for the fans
basically
from
agree
the
with you,
fans.
and I have something like kind of related to it insofar as like on a basic on a basic level. What the show is doing is it takes the first episode and it tries to change one thing and sees how that just like sort of like the causality that produces, like what happens when you change basically one parameter. It's kind of video gaming, but at the same time
I
I don't
think
like there are some people that are like not that hot on Gundam that are really hot on Anno, but also feel burned by uh, the decade of humiliation that was the fucking rebuilds,
that's why Anno
and
made.
also the decade of humiliation of like not letting, like, quote unquote, not letting Tsurumaki direct anything, which is a crazy
This.
perspective to have. But the thing is that like this structure of like it's just the first episode of Gundam, but something's different is literally what Ava is. Like
In some
it's
ways,
something
yeah.
that I've been considering more and more is that like Ava's first episode is Gundam's first episode, but like Anno tried to basically turn left every time that Gundam turned right as much as he could possibly manage to. Like um like both of them open with like the main enemy of the episode floating in through the scene from like right to left approaching like this city They what the fuck? So like,
Robots.
thank you, but like Shinji gets picked up by this woman that has to fucking deal with him, uh, which is like relevant enough to Frau. Whereas like, but even then, it's a bit twisted insofar as like Amuro is completely unaware of the world and isn't trying to like is like completely unprepared for everything, whereas Shinji's like gotten called out to do this assignment and is like looking for it, even though he's like generally more of a passive character than Amuro, broadly speaking. Gets picked up by uh, Misato, driven around, gets told to go into the robot, and they try to force him, which is like the inverse of what happens with Amuro, where he ends up forcing his way into the robot after seeing Frau get horribly traumatized, which also parallels Rei getting injured, having his blood on her hands, and that's the resolve that makes him go into the robot and like begin the fight for the whole dick. It's functionally it's like the same idea for an episode is to have like, oh, it's Gundam, but change a lot of things.
I
And to
think
that end, I think it's about as valid as Ava.
I think that first of all, I don't think that uh that's that would take out validity in the case of Eva. I also don't think you think that, obviously.
Sure.
Um, but I want to say on the topic of like the concept of the show being Char, or not the show, but this episode basically. Like, what if Char did X instead of Amara? Um, I do think there are some concepts in writing that are just that are just interesting enough to captivate. And even if they're not as elegant, maybe it's fine because
Mm.
it's an interesting thought to follow.
It's
And it
I
is the
mean it,
case
it kind of
that
comes back to the whole not okay-ish kind of atmosphere that it has, where this is like it's very sticky, hooky kind of writing, where it's like, ooh,
sure
I gotta know what
it's not a
happens,
bad thing
even if
necessarily.
it's like a little trashy.
Well, I don't think it's trashy because like the what is trashy about it is essentially like what if Char won, and you just get to see it all in this episode,
It's
right?
well,
Um,
it's a combination of like the effortlessness, like the lack of challenge for the character, and additionally like um how to put it, the lack of like significance of the character and the total diversion. Like it's just exposition for
it
20
is
minutes,
it is a
which is
very
like
like
which would be
exposition heavy,
considered like completely unacceptable to a lot of people.
but the concept is good, so you kind of stick with it. Uh,
I'd basically agree, but
yeah,
at the same time I can kind of like empathize with the desire to not do this.
yeah, but I guess ultimately it kind of has to come, you know, it kind of has to tie together, and the rest of the show will try to do that, right? We can't really pass
Yeah.
judgment on something like that, especially when like it was done as respectfully and well as it has. You know, it
Mm.
obviously isn't just like it isn't just it operates on the rules of franchise, on a franchise that is Gundam, and sort of like understanding that the original episode is this like big important fucking nerd thing that people are obsessed with.
Yeah.
Um, but it is respectful of it. It's, I mean, fuck it. If it's Ano doing it, like you're kind of playing meta at that point with like how influential and important it is in like the fan culture nerd aspect of it, right? Uh,
Mm.
that itself is sort of like justifiable to having like this recreation of the original episode that somebody as influential and important as Hideaki Anno is doing it, and it kind of does, add add leeway and add room for me to forgive little mistakes, understanding that like, oh wait, it's Anno, so like surely it means something, or surely it has like something worth a damn. Um,
Mm.
So I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it's interesting. It's fun. It's
I don't mean it in terms of like offense, just in terms of
no, I mean in reference to like zombie, considering offensive.
like devil's advocate wise, like what is the worth of doing it again?
Well, we'll
Even though
see.
I guess I'm basically fine with it.
Yeah, well, the beauty of it is that hopefully, again, hopefully, it's just a platform to shoot off into whatever Machu's great Bolken is gonna be. Uh, it is an interesting. It is interesting though. Again, it's one of those concepts that it's like it's good enough that it's just gonna hook you because if you like Char, you will be interested in this concept. And again, it is a show that's basically just begging you to watch the original one, which is probably
That's
pretty good.
yeah. This I I feel like I've noticed that like a lot of middle generation otaku are kind of getting filtered by this show and are going back to the first show, which is interesting to see. I I forget if I've even mentioned this already to you, but like Imamura Ryo,
Yeah, we've talked about it.
um, uh, like started tweeting about watching First Gundam and was like, "Oh, I haven't seen this episode."
Insane.
When he's talking about like episodes that aren't in the movie version, because most people have watched the movie version, and it's interesting because this is like strategically like, all right, Shalia Bull is our point of entry character in a certain sense, and he's in the TV version and way, 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 way the fuck back at the very end of it too.
Fuck you, watch.
In a sense, I wonder so much about that if that was like the intention, and it's unfortunate in some respects because it seems to have completely not worked on Americans, which I guess is to be expected though.
Well, it hasn't worked yet, right? There was a film.
I
I don't imagine
At
it
this
was
point I
super
don't think
popular.
that it's going to work because like there's no old guard per se to really uh crunch down on people and insist like no, you should really watch First Gundam and you should really watch the TV version. It's really just probably the best TV show ever made. Like there's not an endless horde of people that are like that where there is in Japan.
I think you underestimated. We've had this exact conversation a couple times where you sort of underestimate the not the popularity of Gundam because I agree it's not popular, but you underestimate the respect that it holds with the people that engage with it. Now, I'm not going to deny that there's like some VHS otaku losers that like bounced off of it or have like negative opinions about it for X or Y or stupid reason, right? But I think there's more hope than you give it credit. And a show that's new, interesting like this is basically begging you to watch the original show. Um,
The thing is that it doesn't
and it's kind of
remotely have the
respecting it
audience that
aesthetically
Suisei no
too.
Majo has.
Sure, but we're also
Like
like two
Suisei no
episodes
Majo
in, right?
has roughly the equivalent audience of Lazarus, which
Sure,
has
but
like a pretty huge audience.
this sure, but this is like the second episode, right? Like it's we you even if like the buzz isn't there
No, that
on a week to week
like
basis,
Suisei no
you
Majo
don't
had
know
that
how it's
audience from the beginning. Like it was just like really
sure,
popular with
but again,
Americans.
you can't. This isn't like a just a numbers game on like who gets how many numbers over like week one. Like this, these are works that are like gonna resonate with people for like a long time, and
Mm.
it is gonna be just a good entry point for people. Um, and my biggest complaint, I guess, is like it is a bit too referential to the original, right? Like the fact that you literally are dealing with like an alternate universe sort of situation. However, I do think people are going to be more inclined to watch and be mindful and be respecting and sort of like understanding of the original show and its influence because it's palpable and like the type of work that it is. It's not just being like, "Lol, Gundam is a cool franchise. You should get into it." It's very clearly just being like, the original show is important and you should engage with it. And I think even like the decision to
Mhm.
have somebody that is trying to draw like Yasuhiko in these reinterpretations of the original show is good. I was watching. I was thinking like it is interesting that they decided to do that because like I could easily see just like remaking these scenes, but the character designs are a little more in line with these like modern character designs that you see in the rest of the show. But you don't get that. You get you truly get these designs that like even in new scenes and new shots and stuff like that and new drawings are trying to sort of like invoke that vision of the original Gundam, and I think that's sort of like in a way easing the audience into being like, hey, if you do watch the old Gundam, in a way you're getting like a show that looks like this. Don't you like how this show looks? It looks kind of cool right now, right? It's kind of like more adult, more mature, right? Like that's really cool. Um, and it's remaking shots. It's sort of like bringing these like shots that are, we talk about it all the time. That like Tomino's like more of a classical
You're
director and
really
stuff like that.
mature for your age. You should
And watch Gundam.
you should get in this robot.
So you get into robot anime. It's so mature. But you get what I mean. Like
You're really new type sensitive for your age.
true. That's what Char says to Quest. Um,
No, that's what Bright says to every main character.
Shut up. Listen. Final point. Tomino being a more traditional
It's
director
not final
too.
point. I got more stuff to say.
Sure. Final point for me.
All right.
Tomino shots and sort of directing being also a little more old school, more classical, and a lot of his shots and like not that many, but like some of his shots and compositions and stuff like that also being brought into this new show and being applied into this episode is also kind of like a nice proof that like you can introduce new audiences that are watching this like very modern show into this more classical sort of like scenes, and that they'll probably there's hope from the people making this that they'll react well to it and that it'll captivate them in some way. And again, that also feels like another like off ramp into like please watch the original show. So I think I'm very pleased with it. I thought it was a good episode. There could be better things, but it kind of I would hold my judgment on hating on whatever I didn't like until I see how the rest of
Yeah.
the show plays out, and I see if it's worth it.
Yeah. Uh, Postboy mentioned that like he thinks this it comes from like a fan perspective rather than like a corporate nostalgia perspective, and like I kind of don't completely agree with that because I think that at this point Ano is corporate. Like he's sort of forever had a bit of a corporate soul, but it's like truly come into its own when he made his own company, I think, and like remade all of the Evangelion movies. Insofar as like he tries to make things earnestly good, but is like really, really aware of markets and how things get sold in a certain sense. And I think that like the willingness to make a show like this is like it is something that they're passionate about, but it is like particularly on Ano's end, I think it is really informed by the fact that like this would make so much fucking money, dude. We should really do this. Like you might have other ideas for
Mm,
a show, but we should really do this one because it would make a lot of money.
I
Is
don't I don't know how I feel about
to
that
me, I think
necessarily.
it's probably a factor because like even within to me in some respects like Evangelion is in my mind sort of like Gundam made by someone who's like a little bit more commercially shrewd than Tomino was. He's like, okay, let's make these characters that are sort of like they all kind of bounce off of each other in this almost gimmicky but like still meaningful way. Like there's still all this room for meaning and like depth of character, but like at the end of the day, there's the blue one, there's the red one, there's the main character who's like pretty plain. It's all sort of calculated, even though it is done in earnest. And to that end, I feel like more and more Ano is like really hypersensitive to like what succeeds. What like I'm not here to just make exactly the thing that I want to make. I'm here to also like provide for the people around me in a certain sense by making
I
things that
kind
will
of
be
disagree
very
honestly.
commercially
I don't really
okay.
agree honestly. Um, First of all, I don't know if Tomino is this like paragon of pure artistic integrity. Uh,
Yeah, sure.
the
I
man.
just mean to say that like compared to Ano, well, like basically Tomino is like he is sort of the paragon of being like profoundly fucked over by the company that basically owns him for enormous amounts of his career. And Ano made a show that's
Sure.
like super similar to Gundam, has has like a, a huge amount of significance similar to Gundam, but came out a lot more on top for what I think were maybe decisions that were made by happenstance, maybe some decisions that were made shrewdly and like with the understanding that he would gain
I
from them.
understand what you mean. If we see it through the point of like all that matters is like maximizing income or like influence of your franchise, sure. And definitely Tomino was definitely more railroaded than Ano by Sunrise. Um, I don't think he. I mean, I'm sure he does like talk about like, oh, Sunrise sucks or whatever. I don't know how much he should regret that, considering he's like a highly celebrated, probably one of the highest celebrated like directors in anime, and just creator of like one of the most profitable franchises on earth. Uh, Now maybe he would like more money. Sure, maybe Ano is
It's
better as a
like yeah,
businessman.
it's
True.
profitable, but it's
No, it's not just
profitable
profitable.
in
It's
spite of the original planned prop like the toy company what like the toys that were meant to be sold by the show did not sell well and like basically unrelatedly, but nevertheless, the toy company that like funded the show does not exist anymore.
sure.
Clover does not exist anymore. Bandai sort of took the opportunity that was sitting like just sitting there with Gundam and was like, we could just do something with this. And
Sure.
after that point, he was never able to reach the level of like serious, enormous commercial success that Gundam had. Like he would continue to make things that were like really, really
Well,
artistically accomplished over and over and over again. That oftentimes like had audiences that were like perhaps more deeply indebted and more had greater gratitude for his work than even for First Gundam, but it never made the money that it once did. And even when he
sure.
returned to Gundam, it continued to just like sort of downslide over time.
That's
Even
not
if,
that's not that much of
sorry,
a
go ahead.
great point though, in my opinion, because like yeah, it never reached the heights of Gundam, which is to say the heights of like one of the highest grossing franchises of all time. Yeah, like would it be better if like Ideon was like the 16th biggest franchise of all time, and then Elgaim the 17th? Like, would this really like significantly like exponentially like expand Tomino's like influence as a director or his growth, right? Like, I, I can think of fewer people in the anime industry that are more influential than this man, and if it might be the case that like one worldwide gigantic super mega franchise was enough, and having these other franchises that are not as big but more like freeing and like artistically like relevant to like themselves and stuff like that, maybe that's okay. Again, I don't think I should we should be feeling too
I
bad about Tomino and
I
his
don't disagree
situation.
with you, but like the way that he talks about himself often incorporates like I still haven't been able to surpass Gundam. That like this is the narrative that
And he
he
won't,
pushes
right?
about himself in some
He's not gonna
points.
make Pokemon 2 because he already did. It's
Sure,
called
yeah,
Gundam. Like, it's just
yeah,
it's just not gonna be that. And if it is gonna be that, it's gonna probably take as long as
sure.
Gundam took to become as powerful of a franchise as it is, which is
Like yeah, there's an extent to which like anything that Tomino could do wouldn't reach the level of Gundam in terms of like commercial success because Gundam already occupies
sure, right?
the
Like
hole
if
that he could fit into in
let's say,
some
let's
respects.
let's say Brain Powered was really successful too, and then suddenly the people at Sunrise are like, well, Tomino's new show Brain Powered did really well. Um, what should we do? Well, we should probably just get him to do another Gundam show because we already have like the structure of the Gundam franchise, and they did, right? Like they made Turne, and again, this is high praise for Tomino. no matter what the fuck he's doing, he just kind of comes in and does a great job. So I don't know if I should feel too bad about it because like artistically, he seems like he kind of can just do whatever the fuck he wants and nails it, and is extremely successful and influential. And success wise, yeah, maybe it's a
Yeah.
shame that like King Gainer or like Elgaim didn't like catch on the same way that Gundam did. But again, Gundam is like extreme. Like
Yeah.
it's a successful franchise to the
I'm not
point where like
saying that
nothing
it's
else
like
is.
yeah, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that Tomino isn't like this. It's just that like I think that it's a real significant difference between Tomino and Ano.
Sure, Ano
That
is
like
Ano.
Ano like has in a certain sense recreated that kind of thing a lot. Like the Ava rebuilds, to my understanding, they definitely make more money than First Gundam, and he was in charge of them. And there comes like a certain I don't know, but
I wonder
basically
where.
I just think he's a bit more corporately minded, which isn't like even necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to observe, and that like
Sure, I would
to
agree
say
that
that
he's
this is
probably more
like entirely
corporately man.
defensible because like oh it's made passionately and by fans, like there's an extent like it's to me it's like a double sided coin because like
Still
I
franchising.
feel like you
I
could
would
say
agree.
that about anything, and I'm not saying that I don't enjoy it, but I don't think that that's like the origin of why it's interesting or well made per se. I guess
Well,
because you
at
could
that
say
point,
like
we're
oh Kevin Feige fucking head honcho of Marvel or whatever is this huge fan, but it doesn't like translate to the work quality being good necessarily.
at that point, I would
Which isn't to
say
like come down on post play or anything. It's just like I don't know.
sure. At that point, I would say that you just want more Tomino shows. That seems to be
Sure.
the medicine to your sickness here. Uh, Gundam is not so. You know, I don't really like the Gundam
I'm
franchise. I would probably not be
I guess
watching
to
the
reiterate, I'm
show.
not saying that like this dichotomy is a bad thing. I just think it's like something to be observed in some respects.
Sure, I don't really think the Gundam franchise has any value personally. I don't watch Gundam shows. I watch this one pretty much exclusively because I like Kazuya Tsurumaki. Right, I think he's an interesting director, and I'll just watch his shows when he makes them. Um,
Mm.
Now, it also happens to be the case that I also like the original Gundam, so like it's a nice little treat, and we do love our treats. Um, the boy's hungry, but you know, it's we're really asking here is we wish there were more Tomino shows. We wish we were watching a new Tomino show instead of
Sure,
a new Gundam show, and I would agree.
sure, but we
Uh,
also haven't watched all the Tomino anime yet.
Sure, but you especially have not watched all the Tomino shows because you've been very anal about the process of watching them, stuff like that.
We have watched. You and I have watched. Actually,
Almost all of
not
them.
even an equivalent. I've watched more Tomino anime than you. Let's be clear.
Sure, by like one show probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still, don't get on your fucking high horse with me. Thank you.
Wait, what high horse? I'm just saying you want more Tomino shows, not new Gundam shows. So like it's kind of weird to
Sure.
analyze a Gundam show and be like, well, this sure isn't Tomino. And it's like, yeah, well, yeah. You knew there was never gonna be a Tomino show. Uh,
We're going. I don't think either of us have any idea what fucking point we're arguing anymore.
I'm
Can we
gay.
just move on?
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, I'm pretty much done. We can wrap up. It's a little late too.
No, I've got I've got more shit to
All
say,
right,
bitch.
wrap it up then.
All right.
As in go, as in tell, say what.
Wait, did I have anything? Fuck me.
You just want to fight.
I think I forgot. Whoops.
Well, good thing we have like
Uh,
20 episodes of this to do. So it'll be fine. Don't worry
here,
about it. We'll have
here.
time.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess we're done then. Fuck it.
yeah. Thank you everybody for watching. In chat, say your final prayers, your final words of encouragement, or tell us your final points before we wrap up. Uh, Interesting discussion. Fun show so far. I am excited to see the great Machu Boken develop.
Yours.
So let's see. In chat here, encouraging to watch the original at all is a win. Uh, for me, compared to Origin, doesn't really encourage that at all. And yeah, that's probably been the most mass marketed thing. Sure. That's a good point. I do still feel there's a little fancel in there, which was what you were arguing about. Tomino won the Japan Culture War, I believe. Pretty sure Clover tried to sell one toy, to be clear.
They
Uh,
sold two, but whatever.
the two toys.
I don't know that
Wait,
much
which
about
which ones were they? The Gundam and which one? Like Red Socko or something?
Gundam and the G Fighter combo
That makes
Gundam.
sense. That makes sense. Now feel free to come down on me. I will. And the fan perspective isn't even something. I've seen everything with Gundam written on it. Still working on all the Tomino shows. Could use a Gundam show with a new perspective, but Sunrise is very set in its formula. Good luck, Tomino. Final point. Makovi. Makove. Stocks are going up. True. True.
Oh shit! I just remembered something. Uh, what's up with Garma? What's up with Garma? They said Garma like quit the military.
Where's Garma, you guys? It's true. Char's like, what? I gotta go fucking babysit Garma now.
If I know one thing about fucking old Japanese Gundam fans, they like every character like way too much. Garma's like, I have to wonder if Garma's going to be of some significance. Because like people really like to fantasize, like,
they might.
What could Garma have done?
We're in rebuild
what if
world
Garma
now.
went Chad mode?
We're in rebuild world now. It's Machu's rebuild world, and we're just living in it. I guess the idea is that, like, after if Garma had not been killed by Char, which he didn't kill him because he didn't have any need to kill him apparently. He would have just like retired and gone.
No, it's just
got
that
married or something.
I don't think that they crossed paths is the idea, because like in Pursuit of the Gundam he
Yeah, that's
went
true.
onto Earth and then had to work with Garma for a while. But it's, I don't know, it's interesting because there's a lot of speculation about like how could the land war with Zeon had gone? How could it have gone?
True.
Because
We'll see him.
I
Surely
guess
he'll
these are
show
like
up.
points that Kata Toshio has made, but he probably stole them from somebody because I hear that he does that a lot. But the points that I've heard is basically that like Karma is like, in some ways, making the correct political choices in the position that he's in. He's like marrying the daughter of someone powerful who lives in the place that he's trying to conquer, and is like loved by the people. I wonder what's up. I wonder what's going on there.
Our boy. He'll show up at the end of like the final battle, like Sonic at the end of Subspace Emissary, and just be
Emissary.
like, nah, Emissary. All right, I'm fucking spent. That's it. That's it. We're wrapping up. Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.
Good night.
We'll talk about the show, plenty more. Bye bye. Wait, before we go. Fuck. Where's the video you sent?
Oh, I'll just send it again.
No, it's fine, I got it. This is the ending theme.
Put the links to it in the description so that you credit them. You freebooting hack.